The world feels like it's spinning faster every day, doesn't it? News cycles that never stop bringing disturbing updates, relationships that demand constant energy, responsibilities that multiply like rabbits, and somewhere in the middle of it all, you're trying to maintain some sense of peace and positivity. Perhaps you've noticed that your natural response to stress has become more reactive, more negative, leaving you feeling like you're drowning in circumstances beyond your control. But what if I told you that the calmest, most positive people aren't those who have easy lives, they're those who have learned an ancient secret about where peace actually lives. Today we'll explore 7 profound Buddhist teachings that will transform your relationship with life's inevitable challenges and guide you toward unshakable inner tranquility. The first teaching reveals the fundamental difference between reacting and responding, and why this distinction holds the key to maintaining calm in any situation. Most people live in a constant state of reaction. Something happens, and immediately they're swept away by emotion, judgment, or defensive behavior. But Buddhism teaches us about the sacred pause, that precious space between stimulus and response, where your true power lives. In the monastery where I trained for many years, we learned that between every trigger and every reaction lies a moment of choice, often lasting mere seconds, where you can either be hijacked by automatic patterns or consciously choose your response. Think of this like standing at a crossroads where one path leads to reactive chaos and the other leads to conscious peace. Most people don't even notice this crossroads exists because they're moving too fast through life to see the choice point. When someone cuts you off in traffic, there's a split second where you can either explode in anger or breathe deeply and choose calm. When you receive criticism, there's a moment where you can either become defensive or remain open to learning. When plans don't unfold as expected, there's an instant where you can either resist reality or flow with what's actually happening. This space between trigger and response is where your freedom lives, not in controlling what happens to you, but in choosing how you meet what happens. Practice creating this sacred pause. When you feel triggered by any situation, take one conscious breath before responding. In that breath, ask yourself, what response would create more peace in this moment? This isn't about suppressing authentic feelings, but about responding from wisdom, rather than reacting from impulse. Your breath becomes the bridge between unconscious reaction and conscious response. But there's something even more profound happening beneath our emotional responses to life. The second teaching illuminates why staying positive doesn't mean pretending everything is wonderful, but rather cultivating what Buddhists call mudita, sympathetic joy, and genuine appreciation for what's actually good in your life right now. True positivity isn't the denial of difficulties, it's the skillful recognition of goodness, even in the midst of challenges. Your mind has been evolutionarily programmed to notice threats, problems, and potential dangers. This kept your ancestors alive, but often keeps modern people miserable. The brain's default setting is to scan for what's wrong, what's missing, what could go badly. This negativity bias means that maintaining genuine positivity requires conscious, daily practice, like strengthening a muscle that's been neglected. But authentic positivity isn't about forcing fake cheerfulness or pretending problems don't exist. It's about training your attention to notice the good that's simultaneously present alongside any difficulties. Even in your most challenging day, there are elements worthy of appreciation. Perhaps the fact that you have shelter, that your body is functioning, that someone somewhere loves you, that you have the capacity to feel and grow and learn from experience. I remember working with a woman going through divorce who insisted there was nothing positive in her life. Through gentle exploration, we began noticing small goodnesses that coexisted with her pain: morning coffee that tasted exactly right, a phone call from a caring friend, the way afternoon sunlight fell across her kitchen table. These weren't solutions to her problems, but they were real experiences of beauty and connection happening simultaneously with her struggle. Practice this daily positivity training. Each morning, before getting out of bed, identify 3 specific things you're genuinely grateful for. Not generic items, but particular goodnesses in your actual life. Then throughout the day, notice moments of beauty, kindness, or simple pleasure that occur naturally. This isn't toxic positivity, it's training your attention to recognize the goodness that's always present alongside whatever challenges you're facing. But maintaining this positive awareness requires understanding something crucial about the nature of emotions themselves. The third teaching transforms your relationship with difficult emotions from enemy to teacher, revealing why trying to stay positive by avoiding negative feelings actually creates more suffering. Buddhism doesn't teach us to be happy all the time. It teaches us to be present with whatever emotions arise, knowing that all feelings are temporary visitors in the spacious house of your consciousness. Think of emotions like weather patterns in the sky of your awareness. Just as you wouldn't try to prevent clouds from forming or demand that it never rain, you don't need to prevent difficult emotions from arising or insist on feeling good constantly. Anger, sadness, fear, and frustration are natural responses to certain life situations. The problem isn't having these feelings, it's either suppressing them or being completely controlled by them. When you try to stay positive by pushing away difficult emotions, they don't disappear, they go underground and influence your thoughts and behavior in unconscious ways. Suppressed anger becomes chronic irritability, avoided sadness becomes depression, denied fear becomes anxiety. But when you learn to feel your emotions fully while maintaining awareness that you are larger than any feeling, they naturally arise, peak, and dissolve without overwhelming your essential peace. The Buddha taught that resistance to difficult emotions creates suffering, while acceptance allows them to flow through you naturally. This doesn't mean you have to like painful feelings, but it means you stop waging war against your own emotional experience. When sadness arises, you can say, "Hello, sadness. I see you, I feel you, and I know you will pass through me like all feelings do." Practice this emotional alchemy. When difficult emotions arise, instead of immediately trying to change or escape them, breathe into the sensations in your body. Place your hand on your heart and offer yourself compassion. This is a difficult moment. This feeling is part of being human. May I be kind to myself as I experience this. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It means making friends with your complete emotional landscape. But true calm requires understanding something even deeper about the nature of your thoughts. The fourth teaching reveals that most of your stress and negativity doesn't come from actual events, but from your thoughts about events, and thoughts are much more manageable than you might believe. The Buddha taught that we suffer not because of what happens to us, but because of our interpretations, judgments, and stories about what happens to us. Two people can experience identical circumstances and have completely different emotional responses based on how they think about what occurred. One person loses their job and spirals into despair about being worthless and unemployable. Another person loses an identical job and feels excited about new possibilities and freedom from an unsatisfying situation. The external event was the same, the internal narrative created entirely different experiences. Your mind constantly creates stories about what events mean, what they say about you, what they predict about your future. Most stress comes not from the bare facts of what's happening, but from these mental interpretations layered on top of reality. When you're stuck in traffic, the physical reality is simply sitting in a car that's not moving. The stress comes from thoughts like, "I'm going to be late, people will think I'm irresponsible, this ruins my whole day." Buddhism teaches that you have much more control over your thoughts than you realize. Thoughts are not facts, they're mental events that arise and pass away based on various conditions. You don't have to believe every thought your mind produces, and you certainly don't have to suffer over them. When stressful thinking begins, you can observe it with curiosity rather than being swept away by its emotional charge. Practice this thought awareness. When you notice stress or negativity arising, pause and ask yourself, what story is my mind telling me about this situation? What are the bare facts versus what are my interpretations? Then consciously choose thoughts that serve your peace and well-being. This isn't positive thinking denial. It's recognizing that you have the power to think in ways that create suffering, or in ways that create peace. But maintaining calm also requires understanding something crucial about control. The fifth teaching illuminates the profound peace that comes from distinguishing between what you can control and what you must learn to release. One of the greatest sources of stress and negativity in human life is the exhausting attempt to control circumstances, other people, and outcomes that are fundamentally beyond your influence. The ancient Stoics had a saying that Buddhism echoes: "Some things are within our power, while others are not." Your peace depends entirely on learning to distinguish clearly between these two categories, and investing your energy only in what you can actually influence. You cannot control what other people do, what the economy does, whether it rains, whether you get sick, or how long you live. You can control your responses, your effort, your attitude, and your choices moment by moment. Think of yourself as a skilled sailor who cannot control the weather, the waves, or the wind, but can become masterful at adjusting the sails and steering the boat through whatever conditions arise. Your peace comes not from having calm seas all the time, but from developing the skills to navigate any weather with grace and competence. So much mental energy gets wasted trying to control the uncontrollable, worrying about what others think, trying to prevent all possible problems, attempting to make people behave differently, resisting natural changes and transitions. This is like trying to direct the ocean with your hands, exhausting and ultimately futile. But when you redirect that same energy toward what you can actually influence, your responses, your growth, your compassion, your presence, you become incredibly powerful. Practice this daily surrender. Each morning, identify what aspects of your day you can control and what aspects you must release. For everything in the cannot control category, practice saying, "I release my need to manage this outcome and trust in life's unfolding." For everything in the cannot control category, invest your energy fully and skillfully. This isn't passivity, it's focusing your power where it can actually make a difference. Yet true inner peace requires going even deeper into the nature of acceptance. The sixth teaching reveals why acceptance is the ultimate foundation of both calm and genuine positivity, and why it's completely different from passive resignation. Many people resist the idea of acceptance because they confuse it with giving up or not caring about improving their circumstances. But Buddhist acceptance is actually the most empowering attitude possible. It means facing reality clearly so you can respond skillfully rather than wasting energy fighting what already is. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like everything that happens or stop working toward positive changes. It means you stop arguing with reality as your starting point. When you're stuck in traffic, acceptance means acknowledging, "I am currently in traffic," rather than spending mental energy raging against the fact that traffic exists. From that clear-eyed starting point, you can choose your best response, maybe calling to let people know you'll be late, maybe using the time for breathing practices, maybe listening to something educational or beautiful. Resistance to what's already happening creates enormous stress because it puts you at war with the present moment. This doesn't change what's occurring, it just adds a layer of mental suffering on top of whatever challenges you're already facing. Acceptance removes this additional layer of resistance-created pain and allows you to meet life's difficulties with your full intelligence and energy, rather than wasting resources on futile mental battles. I often tell students that acceptance is like learning to swim. When you first enter water over your head, the instinct is to fight against the water, to tense up and struggle. But fighting the water makes you sink. Swimming happens when you accept the water's nature, work with it rather than against it, and use its properties to support your movement through it. Life requires the same kind of cooperation with what is. Practice radical acceptance. When you notice yourself mentally resisting your current circumstances, pause and say, "This is what's happening right now. I accept this moment as my starting point for whatever comes next." This isn't giving up, it's getting real, so you can respond effectively rather than reactively. From acceptance comes clarity, and from clarity comes wise action. But the deepest level of calm requires understanding something profound about your essential nature. The seventh teaching unveils the ultimate secret. You are not the temporary thoughts, emotions, and circumstances that come and go in your experience. You are the aware presence that observes all these changes while remaining fundamentally undisturbed. This isn't just philosophy, it's the most practical foundation for unshakable peace you can develop. Think of yourself like the sky. Weather patterns move through the sky. Storms, sunshine, clouds, clear blue expanses. But the sky itself is never damaged or permanently changed by any weather. It remains spacious and open regardless of what's passing through it. Your essential nature is like that sky, vast, aware, and fundamentally peaceful, regardless of what thoughts, emotions, or circumstances are temporarily moving through your experience. Most people identify completely with whatever is passing through their awareness moment by moment. When angry thoughts arise, they think, "I am angry." When sad feelings appear, they believe, "I am sad." When problems occur, they conclude, "I am having a terrible life." But Buddhism reveals that you are the consciousness that's aware of anger, sadness, and problems, not the temporary mental and emotional weather itself. This recognition is incredibly liberating because it means your deepest peace doesn't depend on having perfect circumstances or never experiencing difficult emotions. Your essential nature, that which is aware of all experience, is always calm, always whole, always at peace. Learning to identify with this awareness, rather than with temporary mental and emotional content, is the ultimate foundation of both inner calm and authentic positivity. When challenges arise, instead of getting lost in "this is terrible and I can't handle it," you can rest in the awareness that notices, "There are difficult thoughts and feelings arising, but I am the spacious consciousness that's aware of them. They will pass, and my essential nature remains undisturbed." Practice this daily recognition. Spend a few minutes each morning, connecting with the awareness that's been present throughout your entire life, the consciousness that was aware when you were 5 years old and is aware right now. This aware presence is your true home, your deepest identity, your source of unshakable peace. Everything else is just weather passing through. These 7 teachings work together like instruments in a sacred orchestra, creating a symphony of inner peace that no external circumstances can disturb. You don't need perfect conditions to be calm and positive. You need only to remember who you really are beneath the surface turbulence of daily life. Your peace isn't something you need to create or achieve. It's something you need to uncover by removing the layers of reactivity, negativity, and identification with temporary experience that have been covering your natural state of calm awareness. Like the sun that's always shining, even when clouds temporarily block our view, your inner peace is always present, waiting to be rediscovered. The world may continue to spin with its challenges and changes, but you can remain centered in the eye of any storm, responding from wisdom rather than reacting from fear, contributing positivity rather than adding to the world's chaos. This is your birthright and your greatest gift to everyone whose life you touch. If these teachings have brought you even a moment of genuine calm or insight, I invite you to like this video and share it with others who might benefit from these ancient wisdoms. Subscribe for more Buddhist teachings that reveal the practical path to inner peace in our modern world. Your comments sharing how you've applied these principles might be exactly what someone else needs to find their own center of calm in life's storms.